Welcome here from Le Mans in France. Heute machen wir die Eröffnung mal auf Deutsch. Es ist ein mythischer Rennstrecke, ein mythischer Rennkurs hier in Le Mans. An meiner Seite ist Rolf Werner, der Geschäftsführer von der E-Tra. Ja, was macht für Sie denn dieser Mythos Le Mans aus?
Naja, Le Mans, Ruf wie Donnerhall, 24-Stunden-Strecke von Le Mans, zusammen mit Nürburgring, eigentlich unsere beiden größten Events im Jahr. Nürburgring aus den bekannten Gründen konnte dieses Jahr leider nicht stattfinden. Umso mehr freuen wir uns, dass wir hier sind.
Ja, wie ist denn, was bekommen Sie denn so von der Atmosphäre hier auch mit? Es sind ja ganz viele Zuschauer, wir sind ja gerade auch hierher gekommen. Draußen staut es sicher auch, also dieser Mythos Le Mans, der lebt ja auch und die Zuschauer sind auch wieder da.
Ja, und vor allen Dingen, der Vorverkauf hat vor 4 Wochen begonnen und lief anfangs schleppend und jetzt überstürzt er sich. Das heißt, man merkt, die Leute sind regelrecht durstig nach Motorsport und nach Truck Racing. Die Entwicklung ist großartig und wir freuen uns alle ein Loch im Bauch darüber.
Ja, jetzt haben wir gleich das Qualifying. Wie ist denn die Situation? Wie stellt es sich für Sie im Moment dar? Es sind ja nicht mehr viele Rennen. Wie spannend ist es?
Ja, sagen wir mal so, wir gehen jetzt auf die Zielgerade. Jetzt Le Mans, dann nächste Woche Jarama, 2 Wochen später Misano. Im Moment kristallisiert sich immer mehr heraus, dass Norbert Kisch mit der Startnummer 41 ein großer Favorit ist und ich denke, dass er auch heute beim Qualifying gut performen wird und dann noch in den Rennen, ja. Dahinter knubbelt sich dann allerdings schon.
Und wir wollen mal zurückschauen auf das letzte Rennwochenende in Zolder. Da war Norbert Kisch natürlich der große Dominator, aber es gab auch noch einige andere Überraschungen. Wir schauen mal rein.
So the action on Saturday here at Zolder got underway. Across the line for the final time, however, it was Norbert Kisch, led from lights to flag, a brilliantly controlled race. Jochen Hahn crossed the line in second place, but due to Stewart's review, that was later changed.
The start was not the best, and Johan was on the outside of me, and Sasha was really close behind me. So the first turn was really difficult to make it through, and you know, not to make any mistakes. But yeah, it worked.
Race 2 of the weekend was under very different conditions to what we saw at race 1. You can see rain pouring down, the heavens had opened, and the first 2 laps of the 12-lap race was under yellow flag conditions. But in the end, it was Adam Lachko to take top honours in race 2 of the weekend.
Starting raining before the race, I'm very happy. I'm a little bit change of setup and I enjoy all the race.
So a slightly sunnier Sunday kicked off with race 3 of the weekend. It was Jochen Hahn starting alongside Adam Lachko. Nothing really much changed before the end of the race. Jochen Hahn took the win here for race 3. So the 4th and the final race of this weekend at Zolder got underway with Shane Brereton on pole position. By the end of the race, it was Norbert Kisch to cross the line to take the checkered flag first, followed by Adam Lachko in the first of the Bagheera Freightliners, and Theo Calvet crossed the line in 3rd place.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like you said, four wins in this weekend in Goodyear Cup.
So, wir sind ja hier unten in der Boxengasse und warten darauf, dass jeden Moment dann auch die Trucks hier reinkommen. Rolf Werner ist noch an meiner Seite. Das war ja ein spannendes Wochenende. in Zolder, was erwarten Sie denn jetzt hier in Le Mans?
Naja gut, wir gehen jetzt ins Qualifying, dann haben wir sehen wir mal die ersten Hinweise, wie es weitergehen wird am Wochenende, wer vorne ist. Und die üblichen Verdächtigen, Kish, der Jochen Hahn, der Lenz und so weiter. Und dann schauen wir mal, wie es wird. Und klar ist der Kish im Moment deutlich am führenden, Norbert, aber ein kleiner Fehler oder ein kleiner Ausfall oder Ausrutscher und dann sind die anderen schon direkt wieder da. So immens ist der Vorsprung nicht, also es bleibt spannend.
Was macht diese Rennserie aus? Und ich weiß ja, Sie müssen ja neutral sein, aber gibt es da so einen heimlichen Favoriten, dem Sie vielleicht so ein bisschen aus persönlichen Gründen auch die Daumen drücken?
Nö, kann ich nicht. Gucken Sie, ich bin Vorsitzender vom AC Mayen und der Sascha Lenz ist sogar Clubmitglied bei mir und trotzdem muss ich da ja zurücktreten. Ich freue mich über jeden, der gewinnt und freue mich auch, wenn er gewinnt, aber einen heimlichen Favoriten kann man so nicht sagen. Man hat da keine Vorlieben oder man darf sie einfach nicht haben in der Position als Promoter, in der wir uns befinden.
Sehr gut. Oder zumindest nicht öffentlich sagen. Rolf Ferner hat es hier sehr glaubwürdig transportiert. Wir freuen uns auf ein spannendes Qualifying. Vielen Dank, dass Sie an meiner Seite waren.
Gerne.
Ja, und dann geht's gleich los. Allen Zuschauern natürlich viel Spaß und die Kommentatoren Chase und Ebi. Bis gleich.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Le Mans and welcome to this fantastic Bugatti circuit, a real favourite of mine. I am your commentator today, obviously English commentator Chaz Draycott. We have my colleague Joachim Eberts doing the German commentary as well this weekend. But what a fantastic event this is going to be. This is such a windy, narrow circuit, not quite as windy and narrow as we saw at Zolder just a few weekends ago, where my colleague Jack Werrell was on the mic and really enjoying himself with the crazy conditions that these trucks had to put up with. But last time out really shook up the championship. While we did get Norbert Kish, who was there in the number 41 red machine, getting 2 race victories to his name to take his total to 6, he is only 14 points clear of Adam Lachko, who's had the most podiums this season, 8 finishes in the top 3. There is Adam now in the number 55 Bagheera Racing Freightliner. You can hear the massive turbochargers on these trucks whistling away. But Norbert Kish in the championship has 127 points, Adam Lachko 113. Third place is Sascha Lenz, 2 wins and 6 podiums this season. He has 109 points. Following him is Antonio Albacete, but he's 30 points back on 79. Then Jochen Hahn is 5th on 63. So Jochen is on less than half of the points of Norbert Kish. The 6-time champion is going to have to work very, very hard to defeat Norby, the Hungarian hero, in his MAN. Interesting to point out, though, 6th in the championship overall is Teo Calvé. Now, he, of course, is racing in the Goodyear Cup this year, which is for the Chrome-rated drivers. We have the 2 classes of drivers, which is Titan and Chrome. Chrome are the drivers, basically, that have not won the championship in the last 10 years and have not finished in the top 8 overall last season. That's in the championship, that is. And have never qualified higher than 6. So it's basically like an AM category for the truck racing. But Teo's having a fantastic season. However, he's not going to be racing here with us this weekend. He's actually still out on circuit, but he's with the French Truck Racing Championship, which also have some of their rounds this weekend as well. So it's the perfect time for Shane Brereton to get chasing him in the championship. Shane is currently 9th in the standings overall, and with a 27-point gap, I believe it is, between him and Calvé. So there's plenty to fight for. Sorry, 23-point gap between those two. My maths is clearly awful. But look at this place. It's fantastic to be commentating on racing at Le Mans. Obviously not the Le Mans 24 hours, but to be honest, with how small and how narrow this Bugatti circuit can be, the fact that truck racing even happens here is a miracle. It's amazing to see that we have these guys launching these vehicles. Guys and girls, I must say, of course. Kolak and Steffi Halm in our midst. But yes, to have the trucks racing around here is a real joy. And it's great to see these fantastic vehicles accepted to so many brilliant racing circuits all around the world. It's not like we're sort of confined to lesser favoured circuits around the globe. These guys get a chance to race pretty much on some of the very best circuits in the world. Le Mans, obviously, such a fantastic and legendary heritage with its legendary 24-hour event. I'd rather be in a truck than in that, to be honest with you. There's obviously a clear power and torque difference, but still, fantastic view of the action from up there, I can imagine. So Norbert Kish leads them out, and it's going to be a 20-minute qualifying session, followed by the Super Pole session. So Super Pole is basically the top 10 go out for another qualifying session to determine who is going to be on the front row, or at least in the top 10. And you can see Adam Lachko already kicking the back end out on his Freightliner, and Antonio Albacete doing the same as well. Antonio, with 3 podiums to his name this season, has been really consistent, actually, because he's the highest placed driver in the field that hasn't had a race win this year. Jochen Hahn has got 1 race win, 2 pole positions. Andre Kurzim has a race win, which he, of course, got at Most a few weeks ago. But we still have plenty of action coming up in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We have this race meeting this weekend at the Bugatti circuit. Let's look at Lachko lighting up the rear end. He was great at that at Most as well. But we have this race meeting. Then we have Jarama in Spain, where my colleague Jack Werrell will be back with you on the commentary duties. And then we have the finale at Misano, which I've been told I'm flying out for, which is going to be very, very exciting. Big end of season party there, but the matter at hand is that the racing still needs to go on. The drivers still need to crack on with it. It's not quite party time yet. But Norbert Kish has been pretty unstoppable this season. 4 pole positions, 7 podiums, 6 of those are race victories. So he's been hard to beat. But the thing is, when he's not been winning the races, he's not been finishing on the podium that much. There are other drivers that have been a little bit more consistent while not winning races. So he has to keep his wits about him to make sure that he is not caught up by anybody else in the championship. We've still got trucks coming out, making their way around the circuit. And look at the way that Norbert can push this truck so hard into the final couple of corners. Very difficult to get the truck stopped into there. Make sure that he doesn't slide it on exit either. Here we are then on board with Norbert Kish, flying down the main straight into Curva Dunlop. So fast up through the right-hander. They'll be doing 100 miles an hour up through there, and then hard on the brakes. You'll see a load of steam coming off them as they pump water onto the brakes to cool them down. They carry a hell of a lot of speed through the chicane, over the crest of the hill, and then down to Virage de la Chapelle. Very tight hairpin, long right-hander, going downhill as well. So a lot of the grip is going away from you as you go down there. Now hard on the power to Virage de Musée. There's a lot of hairpins here. It's almost like a karting circuit. It goes back on itself quite a lot in this first sector. They've got a long right, then a long left, and then another long right again. But Garage Vert is basically a double apex right-hander, you should say. You can see Norbert now leaning on that first apex. Lets it run to the middle of the road, clips the second apex, gets hard on the power. Come and get my words out today. Using a bit of the runoff as well. Now, it's interesting to note that there's no markers out there, because a lot of these drivers have penalty markers on the edge of the circuits when the trucks come racing, which is a more definite sort of outline of the track limits, really, rather than say you're allowed to use the runoff, except if you hit those markers, it's a black or white answer of have you gone too far off the track limits, yes or no. Into the S-bend he goes then. Second to last. It's so difficult to carry the pace. There's one of those penalty markers that you'll see. Hard on the power. Using a bit of the road on the left-hand side. Now look at how tight it gets here as he comes into the latter part of what is the Ford chicane on the 24-hour layout. Across the line goes Norbert Kish. 2 minutes 5.5 for him. Lachko 2.4 seconds off on his first time. But what we've seen a lot this season from Norbert is that he can just pile in a very fast first qualifying time, and then that'll be it, and he can chill for the rest of the session. and wait to see what everyone else can do to try and beat him. Jochen Hahn goes 1.4 seconds off in third. And it's Steffi Halm now faster than Lachko. Albacete is currently second fastest at the moment. There's Jamie Anderson in the number 33 truck. Of course, a driver that made his debut last time out at Zolder was Louis Requenco, who joins us once again for some more racing. He's in the number 64 truck. He's basically teamed up with Antonio Albacete. The two of them very experienced Spanish racing drivers. They've done pretty much everything there is to do. GT cars, touring cars. And now they've turned their hands to trucks. Louis Requenco has been racing them since 2018. And they do look like very fun machines to master. This is Adam Lachko, currently second in the championship. Like I've said, the most podiums out of anybody this season. He took his first race win of the season at Zolder. Oh, sorry, another race win at Zolder. He's had a very, very good time of it as Adam Lachko. He's thoroughly hoping for a championship this year. He's certainly one of the drivers that is always, always up there, challenging Norbert Kish, challenging Jochen Hahn in that beautiful Iveco S-Way. Norbert, of course, running a lot of aerodynamics on the front of that MAN now. They've tried that sort of honeycomb cutout from a few weeks ago to help a bit more air go through the front of the truck. And from what they were saying, it's working. The times certainly suggest that it is as well. Now, this is normal. In case you're wondering why they're going so slowly, basically the trucks have a very narrow window of operating temperatures. So they will do a very fast lap and then just have a cool-down lap for a moment. Some of them will go straight into the pits and that'll be the end of their session. But some of them will go back out and carry on and chuck it in again. So Norbert Kish comes in. So too does Lachko, and so too, I think, does Jochen Hahn as well. So a number of these drivers pretty confident that they'll stay at the top of the standings and stay inside the top 10. Sasha Lenz second fastest at the moment, ahead of Albacete. It's off Norbert Kish. Now somebody does continue and go through. I think Luke Garrett is one of them. Jamie Anderson also going through. There goes Jamie in the background. I think one of the others might have been, looked like a white truck. I think Steffi Halm might have gone out. No, Steffi's actually come into the pits. So that would have been Garrett going through. He's sharing the number 86 truck this season with Tom O'Rourke. Now, this truck leaning down on the right-hand side. Looks to me like that cab isn't straight. Very interesting, but Norbert's been the star of qualifying this season. 4 pole positions, 2 pole positions to Jochen Hahn, but Norbert has been the man to beat. Now, his race pace is what's been impressive. There was talk at Most about some of the teams having sort of different engine modes for qualifying, where they get a little bit more pace out of the truck. But Norbert was really pleased with the fact that he can do his qualifying times in the race. He can match his pace across every session over the weekend and have that incredibly strong consistency, while other drivers are fast in qualifying but then don't have it in the race. Now here's Jamie Anderson. Jamie's currently 12th in the championship overall with 11 points to his name. And at the moment in qualifying, he is on the brink. He's in 10th position, 3.7 seconds off at the moment. In the Goodyear Cup, he's on 93 points, whereas Shane Brereton, fellow Brit, just ahead of him, is on 132. Teo Calve on 155 points. So Teo with that very convincing lead. And Luke Garrett has had his time deleted for track limits, unfortunately. So he's going to have to put some work in to get that back. You can see the front end of that MAN not quite looking as potent as Norbert's. Now look at this. That is, I believe, Antonio Albacete's truck. And either that man is jet washing something, or whichever tank that was is leaking everywhere out of the side of the truck. Certainly a lot of liquid being thrown down. hopefully just water. Could be one of the water tanks that they use to cool the brakes or cool the radiators, because these drivers have manual control over that. Norbert Kisch's Revesh Racing team just looking over his vehicle to make sure everything is still in check, but it certainly did look like that truck was leaning down to the right. It seemed like there was a bit of liquid had sort of trickled out of his truck as well, as still water piles out of Antonio Albertetti's truck. It is almost like it's being jet washed out, isn't it? And yes, as expected, I've just had it confirmed as well by Martin. It's for reducing the weight of the truck, basically. They know he's not going to need that much water, so they're just taking some of it out to try and help the balance as well. Now, sometimes you would think that having a lot of the weight over the rear end would really help these trucks, but according to the official rules in the championship, the minimum weight of these trucks is 5.3 tons, and over 3 tons of that need to be measured at the front wheels, 3,150 kilos to be exact. So some of them have to get the balance absolutely spot on. I've been told René Reiner will not participate in qualifying in race 1 due to a penalty from the previous races at Zolder. Henrik Clemens Hecker has broken a rear spring, so can't take part in qualifying, unfortunately. So we are 2 trucks down for that. It's a shame that René Reiner won't get the chance to take part. Here is Luke Garrett in the number 86 truck, the MV Commercial Truck Racing team. He is currently in 12th position on a 2 minutes 8.6. And his last lap was a 2 minutes 8.9. But look at the speed these things carry up through Dunlop Curve. Hard onto the brakes into the chicane. They really are a sight to behold as they go over the bridge. Over the bridge? Hopefully not over the bridge. Go under the bridge, over the crest. The legendary Dunlop Bridge, of which there used to be a lot more around the world. There was a famous Dunlop Bridge at Donington Park here in the UK, which is unfortunately no more. It's a real shame. It's great to see the one here still standing at Le Mans. Now it looks like these guys are locking up a lot as they go into the corners, but that's just steam cooling them down. And I believe Chris has somebody from the number 33 team, Jamie Anderson's team.
No, it's from Antonio Albacete, the
23,
chief engineer.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's Tim Frost. So we saw that you drained a lot of water. Can you explain what was the reason?
Yeah, so basically in one of the first races we did in the year, we only put a low volume in because we thought we were safe for the Superpole. And then we had a few mistakes in the laps. I think it was in Most or somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of the Superpole, which we managed just to get into, we ran out of water. So we did 1 lap with no water in the end. So we always fill the water completely for safety. And then once we know we are safe into Superpole, we then empty the 100 litres of water because it makes no sense to carry weight for no reason. So from this side, it's only for a safety thing. So
okay, and what is the plan right now? We see Antonio is quite relaxed. Will he go out again?
Yeah, sure. So if nobody improves their current time, we are safe with the time for Superpole. So we will just sit here, make sure that the tyres are kept cold, because they only have an optimum of 2 or 3 laps. So we don't want to run unnecessarily. So now, like I say, it's safe for Superpole, then we keep the tyres for the Superpole. And it's only possible to go fast or really fast or for 2 laps on these tyres, and then the performance drops only because of the weight of the vehicle. So this is why all the fast drivers, they only make the first lap, come in, rest and wait for the next session.
What do you expect for the weekend? I know Antonio is very fast on this course.
Yeah. You never know what happens in turn 1, huh? But normally we improve every weekend, so we hope top 3 should be possible. So.
Okay. Good luck. Thank you, Tim. And back to you.
Yeah, nicely said though by Tim. You know, you never know what can happen in turn one. But thank you for that insight there, Chris. And I was just saying then in the background how fantastic it is. I love truck racing for things like that because it's so raw. Some of the things that these teams can do and the drivers, because of the access to the engines and so on, and all the different systems they have, it can be so simple. Just literally opening a tap to let the water out just to make it lighter for the latter session. It just seems like such a simple trick, but I know that not everybody will do it, and hopefully not everyone will do that, because Louis Requenco just having a bit of a moment there into the left-hander. He's quite new to truck racing still, but he's doing well in his number 64 MAN. The truck certainly looks very brand new, doesn't it? Not too much going on livery-wise, but it certainly is a very contrasty livery. Certainly catches the eye. And let's hope that it's still that clean by the end of the weekend. He had his first run out this season at Zolder a few weeks ago, but as mentioned before, he's very experienced, has a wealth of racing experience in other vehicles, and not as many holes on the front of his truck, as daft as that sounds to say. There's not as many sort of cutouts or other parts of the truck that have been sort of ground away or had patterns cut into them to help the airflow. It's a lot of downforce on the front of that truck, or as much as you can get downforce wise in trucks. Only the necessary holes to cool the engine. Obviously the engine pretty much underneath the cab in these things and a little bit further back. And we have another interview with Chris with somebody from Adam Latchko's team. Okay, it seems like we can't get to Chris at the moment, as Requenco goes back across the line. His last lap was a 2:08.5. His fastest is a 2:08.2. So unfortunately that mistake costing him a couple of tenths. And okay, we're back with Adam Latchko now. Chris is there with him.
Yeah, Adam Latchko, there's a big gap. That was not your best round. What happened on the course?
We tried something on the first quali, and now we change back, and I hope it's coming a better time.
Could you explain what you changed now? What you tried to improve?
We try something with the front axle, and now we will see if it's happened good or not.
Okay. What is the weather forecast? You're the rain specialist, but the weather looks quite good, but there's some expectation of rain.
I think it doesn't matter, because everybody have the same condition, and we must fight on the condition what we have.
Okay, Adam, thank you. Back to you.
Yeah, it's a very interesting circuit here because it is very start-stop. It's not the most flowing circuit for these machines. You have to carry a lot of speed through a lot of these corners, so you're going to see drivers making tiny adjustments here and there just on the brakes. The body language of the trucks will be very lively. They will move around quite a lot. But still, fantastic to be here on this Bugatti circuit. A circuit that has always provided very entertaining racing in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Here's Jamie Anderson and Luke Garrett flying out of the final couple of corners. And just checking the times, Anderson has moved up to 9th place now, 2.3 seconds off the top spot, but still, he's inside the top 10. Now Adam Latchko is in 10th. If he drops one more position, he will not make it to Superpole, and he will be out. It's very close though, as you can see, from Steffi Halm in 6th place all the way down to Latchko. There's only 0.4 of a second, but then north of that, it's 2 seconds between Norbert Kisch and Steffi Halm. Using all of the road, and there goes one of the penalty markers. I hope they've got some spare ones. I'm sure they have. But he sends one of them absolutely flying, and Jamie will know that that lap now will be invalidated. That's absolutely gutting for Jamie, because that would have been his last chance to improve further. He knows that Adam Latchko's not going back out there, so I think it just now relies on whether Luke Garrett's had a good start to his lap, but it seems like he's backed off as well. So that is going to be the end of the first qualifying session. And then, as mentioned, the top 10 will now go out in the order that they just finished in. and have their Super Pole session. I really love what Albacetti's team were doing earlier, though, letting the water out because they know that they're going to get into Super Pole. They were very, very confident. And now the truck's going to be lighter. Can he go even quicker and improve somewhere along the lines of those 1.2 seconds back from Norbert Kish? But a 2 minutes 5.5. A very strong lap time indeed by Norby. He's going to be going for his 5th pole position of the season. Now, don't forget, we have 2 qualifying sessions each weekend. We have 4 races every weekend. We have a reverse grid for the second race on each day, but then we reset everything and qualify again on the Sunday. And we can have a word, actually, with Theo Calvet, very interestingly, who's not racing with us this weekend, but with the French Truck Racing Championship.
Yeah, Theo, last racing weekend in Zolder, you have been the big hero for wins, but why we don't see you this weekend?
Yeah, I'm not racing in the European Championship this weekend because there is the French Championship at the same time. And, I battle for the title in French Championship, and this weekend I can be French champion. So that's a good opportunity, and I put a joker on the European Championship. This weekend I lose a lot of points in the Goodyear Cup and in the General, but it's okay. I think it's better for me to be French champion, to try to be French champion like this. After the next year or something like that, I can concentrate 100% in European Championship.
Last time we spoke, you told us that you have a very difficult task ahead. Did you succeed, and can you tell us what was the task?
Yeah, I had my final exam this week. It was really hard for me because just after Zolder, I took a plane on the Sunday night, and the Monday morning I had the exam. But I valid everything, so I'm very, very happy. And now I can concentrate 100% on truck racing, and that's really nice.
So exams and now French champion?
Yeah, and I think it will be a perfect week.
Theo, thank you very much. Back to you.
Stuff. Really, really top guy is Theo Calvet, and very, very deserving of the successes that he's having as well. Well done on his exams, and yes, to be honest, the fact that he's fighting for the French Championship title is understandable in terms of his priorities. I did wonder whether he was going to try and go for the Goodyear Cup this weekend, or have his championship hopes dashed in the other title by not racing it, but obviously he has to go for one or the other. There is the penalty markers that we saw earlier on, one of them getting absolutely sent flying. You can see the size of them as well, though. They look like just normal tiny bollards when they're at the side of the road, but when you see a marshal carrying them, you realise just how big they are. They are massive, massive bits of kit for these trucks to knock over as easily as they do. But now, the slight calm before the storm of Super Pole, where we'll get our top 10. Norbert Kish, Sascha Lenz, Antonio Albacete, Jochen Hahn, Stefan Faas, Steffi Halm, Andre Kurzim, Shane Brereton, Jamie Anderson and Adam Lachko, all going back out to try and improve their times and, of course, set a separate time to get into the top 10. So everybody from them downwards at the moment has been determined, and we'll get the top 10 sorted out in just a moment. Great to have a continuous number of fans around the circuits on weekends like this. They really do make and break the championship sometimes, don't they, fans? But they certainly make it here in the FIA ETRC. It's one truck family, as the hashtag reigns true. And of course our marshals as well, who we must always thank. Without them, we would not be able to go racing. And they do everything they can to make sure that a race meeting runs smoothly and on time, as do all of our timekeepers and officials behind the scenes. But now you can see trucks making their way down the pit lane. They're going to get organised into the correct order. And then we'll be able to send them all out one by one. But Jamie Anderson will be happy that he's still in there, because he had a lap time deleted for hitting the markers, as we saw. And the green flag is waved, so Norbert Kish will lead them back out of the pit lane now. Great to see Stefan Faas up there as well, actually. He really slid under the radar for me in that session. Stefan doing a really strong job, and to be honest, I think that everybody's talking point with Stefan this season is the massive accident he had at the Hungaroring. He was perfectly fine, but the truck destroyed the barrier and basically cancelled that race from the calendar. That race was called off because the barrier repairs were going to take too long. Now, speaking of taking too long, these drivers only have 10 minutes in this Super Pole session to get things done, so they have to get laps in early on, and then they know if they're going to improve, then they've got to get that done quickly as well. You can see this beautiful field filtering their way through the long right-hander down the hill, Virage de la Chapelle. And Norbert Kish, with all of the clear road in front of him, is just going to make sure everything's at the right temperature before absolutely sending it as he does. We'll just wait for them to kick into life. You can see how slowly they're just creeping their way around so far. This is literally a sighting lap just to make sure everything's working as intended. They light up the rears, they get on with it. Big slide from Sascha Lenz. They'll build up the pace a little bit, get some heat into the tyres, and then suddenly plant the throttle. They've got the Chemin aux Boeufs, which is the left-right chicane, and then they go into the S-bend, the longer right-left chicane after this small straight here. Not many overtaking opportunities here at the Le Mans Bugatti circuit, but there are some more obvious places that you'd have to think about, like into the final couple of corners, into one of the hairpins. But these drivers have to carry a lot of momentum in these trucks, and because they take up so much real estate, you really don't want to compromise yourself and your opponents too much. Look at the way that Norby's truck is leaning, though. It's definitely leaning down to the front right for me. He's going to take it nice and steady now through the second to last corners, and then plant it and get on with the fast lap. The legendary straight here at the Le Mans circuit. 7 minutes of the session to go, and they cross the line to get on with. Speed they carry through that chicane, it still amazes me now. The way these trucks handle, the way they move about, it's absolutely phenomenal. But Norbert Kish, his truck just always seems to have this body language about it. Really throw it in, but it looks so accurate when he does so as well. Hard on the throttle on the way out. You can see a little bit of steam still resonating from the front of the truck as he sprays some of the water onto the brakes to cool them down. The way it leans front right, nearly touching the ground there as well. Great management of the momentum through the long left-hander at Virage de Musée. Again, ready, he's going to dive its nose down onto the brakes. Look at that, it's so sudden. You'd expect it to be quite wobbly and quite slow in the way that it sort of rests its nose down, but it really does headbutt the floor as he plants it. A little bit of the tail kicking out on the exit, but fantastic pace once again. No engine modes for Norby. Hard onto the brakes again. The great, amazing, iconic noise of the curbs rattling below a huge tyre. And hard on the power again. Look at the acceleration of these trucks. Nearly 1,200 horsepower, or around 1,200 horsepower in these. 5,500 Newton meters of torque. It's a ridiculous amount of torque, bearing in mind that cars like the McLaren P1 have somewhere around 900. Just ridiculous numbers, but that's why we love it. Norby using all of the circuit through the final couple of corners. Seems above board though. And let's see what lap he can do. It was a 2:05.5 earlier on. It's a 2:05.5 again. So Norbert Kish maintains the pace and does a smashing job with that first lap. 1.1 seconds faster than Lenz Albacete, half a second off him. Now, he was 1.5 seconds off in the first laps they did earlier, which is good. Jochen Hahn a second off, Stefan Fast 2 seconds off in 5th position. And then the times carry on coming in. We've got Kurzim 2.1 seconds off, Shane Brereton 2.2 seconds off, Steffi Halm in 8th, 2.6 off the pace. We still wait for times from Adam Lachko and Jamie Anderson, and Lachko goes 5th, so truck 55 P5. And Jamie Anderson, I think, will be the last one to put a time on the board. Well, I think he might have just completed an outlap, you know. I thought his lap wasn't counted because it doesn't seem to be showing up on the board. Although it did say that his last lap was 5 minutes 44 seconds, so a really long outlap. It's just taken a while to get out there. So Anderson might have to try and make his way through the traffic here, which could be interesting. Now, don't expect these guys to go back into the pits. Some of them might go back in and just sit there, but others, I think, will probably try and give it another go. A few of them are very close. Antonio Albacete, second at the moment. He's very close indeed. Half a second isn't much. All that is just carrying a little bit more speed on corner and still tidying the rest of the lap up, and he could be right up there with Norbert Kish. Now, they are basically the same trucks, those MANs. You can see how different they do look, though. The way that the team manages the bodywork and makes their own little modifications to it on that chassis makes all the difference. And they do look completely different, don't they? Sasha Lenz, 4th at the moment. He's just there in the black and bright green machine. Sasha Lenz, of course, the SL Truck Sport driver. There's a detailed look at the front end of Norbert Kish's truck. You can see that wonderful cutout pattern that they've got. It's quite evil almost. It's like they've cut these evil eyes out of the front of the truck. But he's going to go for it again, is Norby. Powering his way down the straight. Look at the amazing field we have here. Bright and colourful field as well. Very enjoyable to watch. There's Andre Kurzim, not seen too much of him yet. And there, the number 17 of Shane Brereton. A lot of work to do this weekend for Shane to try and catch up with Teo Calve in the Goodyear Cup for the Chrome-rated drivers. On board now with Jamie Anderson. Again, look at the speed at the end of the straight here. Now, they're limited. They do 100 miles an hour as the top speed, obviously for safety purposes. Look at how quickly they can slow it and get it turned one way, then the other, up through the right, over the crest of the hill. It's great to watch. And you can see some of the fans out there as well, sitting, waiting. Jamie trying very, very hard indeed now. He is currently 10th. He had some traffic and some issues on his first lap. 19 seconds off, 2 minutes 25.1. And now he's throwing everything at this to climb his way up into the top 10. He needs to beat Shane Brereton as well. Although the highest placed Chrome driver at the moment is Stefan Fast in 6th. So Stefan going well. Maybe 2 seconds off pole, but highest placed Chrome driver, very, very good indeed. He's 4th in that championship, 3 points behind Jamie Anderson, so he could very well take 3rd place in that this weekend. These are going to be the final laps for pretty much all of these drivers now, as there's only 10 seconds of the session left to go. And it's still Norbert Kish, top of the times. And his last lap was a 2:05.7. So he's not improved, and as you see it there, Jamie Anderson's current time has been deleted due to hitting a marker. So that is going to be that for Jamie. Does anybody else improve? Jochen Hahn goes second fast. Antonio Albacete. Albacete did a 2:07.3, so Jochen Hahn onto the front row of the grid once again. Sasha Lenz is fourth. Adam Lachko is fifth. Followed by Stefan Fast in sixth. Andre Kurzim is seventh. Shane Brereton eighth. Steffi Halm is ninth. And Jamie Anderson, for the second time in qualifying this morning, having a lap time moved for the penalty markers. So he's certainly got something to work on for later. And that is not hitting said markers. But lovely to come on. And the drivers have made the most of them. And Norbert Kish takes his fifth pole position of the season. He really has been the dominant force so far. And he continues that with another qualifying session to his name. Jochen Hahn, second place, though he's still always up there as Jochen, but he just needs to convert that race pace. We know that he's got it. He's taken a race win this season. And he won last time out at Zolder for the first time this season, after some 8 or 9 races already. And there is Sasha Lenz as well, qualifying fourth in that session, 1.1 seconds off the top spot. He's got a little bit of work to do. It was him versus Norby, really, for the championship before Zolder. Then Adam Lachko had a fantastic race meeting and just jumped Sasha by a measly 4 points. So there really isn't much to pick between those guys. And to be honest, from Antonio Albacete in fourth in the championship down to Steffi Halm in seventh, there is only 21 points difference. And you get 25 points for a race win, so it can all change very, very quickly. Some fans there finding shade, which is probably a very, very good idea, to be honest, because even around this time of year, in the area around Le Mans, it does get very, very hot when the sun comes out. Obviously, I say that in hope as I sit here remotely in the UK in miserable conditions as it usually is in the UK, but still great to see everybody enjoying themselves out there. And Norbert Kish still on form with another pole ahead of Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. But as we saw from his team earlier, Antonio is always quick around here. So we'll have to see whether he can convert that and take his first race win of the season. He's got 3 podiums so far this year, but no race wins yet. Now, I've just had news come through that trucks 41 and 30, which is Norbert Kish and Sasha Lenz, are both under investigation. So that is intriguing. I'm not sure what for yet, but we will find out. You just had a quick, brief look there at the paddock as well. Now, the paddock alone for the European Truck Racing Championship is big, as you can imagine. These things are humongous machines. Their awnings and the trucks that even bring them here are massive. But the fact that we still have the French Truck Racing Championship sharing the paddock with us this weekend as well drills home how big the paddock is and how much space there is as well. Because there are a lot of trucks in the French Truck Racing Championship. There's another penalty marker being put to bed. And the marshal not in too much of a rush because there's a lot of clean-up time is sort of accounted for after these sessions. Speaking of after these sessions, it's time to take a look at the results. Norbert Kish, half a second faster than Jochen Hahn. Again, those two on the front row. Antonio Albacete third ahead of Sasha Lenz in fourth, with Adam Lachko and Stefan Fast lining up on row 3. Then it's Andre Kurzim and Shane Brereton. Steffi Halm is ninth ahead of Jamie Anderson, who rounds out the top 10. 11th place goes to Louis Requenco, and Luke Garrett will in 12th position. The smallest grid that we've had so far this season, but trust me, the racing will be just as fantastic. So we wait to see, of course, In the meantime, what happens with Norbert Kish and Sascha Lenz if they were under investigation? There's the Goodyear blimp, I should say, being taken for a walk. It's moving around a lot more than the Goodyear blimp normally does, let's face it. But yes, very interesting to see that they are under investigation, especially Norbert as well, of course. A real star at the top of the championship at the moment. Sascha Lenz third in the standings too, so you'd hope that they'd be setting an example. As the marshals putting the markers away, I'm sure they're going to have a collection of those by the end of the day. They've got 2 after qualifying. Let's see if we can get that camera back on them later on and count up how many they end up with. Hopefully not too busy a weekend, though, for the marshals. We avoid incidents at all costs here in the European Truck Racing Championship. And to be honest, the driving standards this season have been really, really amazing, to be fair. And, oh, Chris is down in the pit lane now with Jochen Hahn second on the grid.
Yeah, Jochen Hahn, second place. How was it out there on the race course?
Firstly, you must make the time practice, so we are on the second place, yes. Behind Nobi, it's a wonder. No, it's not a wonder. He shows us every time on the practice, also on the races, what you must do to have the pole position. So from this side, it's a gamble to make the time practices with him. So now we're going to race on the first row, second place. All it's open. Le Mans, it's different to all others. We have the first corner, it's a wide corner, but the pole position is on the left side. So on the first corner, we must respect each other. So from this side, all it's possible. And maybe he look a little bit forward to the title and make a little bit of mistake. Not maybe, I hope. And I can go. So, but anyway, normally on normal situations, he win the race. So we go hopefully to the second or to the podium. And for this, we fight now.
But your plan is to put more pressure on Nobi?
On the start, you must make pressure a lot. I think he's not nervous, but it's the only way to overtake him. So it's the start. So from this side, all goes in the start, and then we will see what happens when the checkered flag comes.
Thank you very much, and good luck for the race. So back to you. That was the Super Bowl, and see you at the race.
Yes, indeed. Jochen Hahn, though, I mean, what a fantastic compliment that is, though. If you were Norbert Kish there watching that interview back later, for Jochen to say normally he wins the races, that is a big, big compliment indeed. But that is the first session of the weekend, the first qualifying session done for the weekend. We will see you very, very soon for race 1 from the Le Mans Bugatti circuit in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship.